Planning, Development and Infrastructure Act 2016.
Honourable Mr Sims.
I move the bill be read a second time. Mr President, the Planning, Development and Infrastructure Affordable Housing Amendment Bill addresses a critical issue when it comes to new housing developments in our state. That is the lack of affordable housing for people on low incomes. Housing is a fundamental human right, and everybody deserves a roof over their head and a place to call home. The Australian Government's Institute of Health and Welfare states, and I quote, "Access to good quality, affordable housing is fundamental to well-being. It can help reduce poverty and enhance equality of opportunity, social inclusion and mobility." In 2021, Adelaide was ranked the 13th most unaffordable metro area out of 92 major international housing markets, according to Demographia International Housing Affordabilities report. This meant that Adelaide's housing was less affordable than Brisbane, Perth, even New York and Seattle. According to the Beyond the Housing Crisis report from Believe Housing and UniSA in 2022, Adelaide has the tightest rental market anywhere in the country since 2017, with just 0.2% of properties remaining vacant. This is an example of a serious lack of supply in our housing market and a lack of affordable housing options. And I have spoken many times about the housing crisis in this place. The Malinowskis government have acknowledged the lack of supply of affordable housing in their plan titled A Better Housing Future that was released in February this year. And I quote from that paper, where it states that the government recognises that the government's plan, provides a response to the current housing challenges. However, more needs to be done to continue to support increased and well-located affordable and appropriate housing in the state. Well, Mr President, the bill that the Greens are proposing here, it sounds like it's very popular in the gallery as well, the bill the Greens are proposing here today aims to ensure that affordable housing is considered for all major developments, not just those within the affordable housing overlay. Currently in South Australia, developments within the affordable housing overlay that are for 20 or more dwellings or residential allotments are required to include 15% of affordable housing. Well, 15% just simply isn't enough, Mr President, and that's why the Greens are proposing 30%. That is 10% affordable to buy, 10% affordable to rent and 10% that is social housing. When one considers the maps of the affordable housing overlay available on Plan SA's Property and Planning Atlas, it is clear that many areas of future growth are not currently captured by the overlay. Earlier this year, members will be aware that the Malinowskis government announced new land would be released in Hackham, Dry Creek, Concordia and Selix Beach. Now, we of course welcome that, recognising that we're in the middle of a housing crisis. But, Mr President, we must ensure that this is not a land release that only serves developers. We must ensure that we don't see Mount Barker 2.0, where there is a lack of appropriate planning. And part of that planning is to ensure that there's appropriate return to the community by way of increased social housing and increased affordable housing. I recognise the government's commitment to including 15% affordable housing in these new developments, and we welcome that. But the reality is it is simply not enough. And what is in place to stop future governments from releasing land that sit outside of the overlay and not ensuring that there is a 15% return? What the Greens are proposing is increasing that return and abolishing the application simply to the overlay. The Greens bill is consistent with calls from advocacy groups such as National Shelter, and they have been calling for a mandatory 30% affordable housing in developments. These calls are supported by research undertaken by Shelter, who in 2019 found that 97% of their survey respondents agreed that action was needed to address housing affordability and that mandatory inclusionary zoning of the kind that the Greens are proposing was the preferred mechanism for that action. The bill progresses those recommendations and establishes a minimum 30% affordable housing target, or requirement rather. For the current proposed developments earlier this year, this would double the number of affordable houses to be delivered, from just 3,405 under the Malinowskis government's plan to 6,810 under the plan of the Greens. So that would help another 3,000 households access housing that is affordable for them. National Shelter has also asked participants of that survey to rate the types of housing options, with the results showing that affordable housing to purchase was the least favoured option and that build-to-rent products should also be included. Their policy recommendation is that 1/3 of affordable homes be for rent, 1/3 for purchase and 1/3 be made available for social housing, and that is precisely what the Greens are proposing. I note, Mr President, that 2 weeks ago the Malinowskis government released the discussion paper for the new Greater Adelaide Regional Plan. The paper claims that with current growth trends we will need an additional 300,000 homes over the next 30 years. Supply is important for ensuring that we address our state's housing crisis. But as we have this discussion about development, we need to ensure that developers are providing an appropriate return to the community, and that means beefing up our investment in affordable housing and beefing up the investment in social housing. And the Greens' proposal for a minimum requirement of 10% affordable to buy, 10% affordable to own and 10% social public housing is really worthwhile. I do intend, Mr President, to write to the Minister for Planning, the Honourable Nick Champion MP, and of course his shadow, the Honourable Michelle Lensink, whom I have had an opportunity to have a brief conversation with in this regard. I intend to write to both of these members and urge them to back this sensible proposal from the Greens, because there is an opportunity for us to work together in the Parliament to tackle the state's housing crisis head on. And with that I conclude my remarks.